Daniel Tammet, an Englishman, a 27-year-old math and memory wizard.
I was born November 8th, 1931.
There's a prime number, 1931. And you were born on a Sunday. And this year your birthday will be on a Wednesday. And you'll be 75.
Precisely.
It's estimated there are only 50 true savants living in the world today, and yet none are like Daniel. He is articulate, self-sufficient, blessed with all of the spectacular ability of a savant, but with very little of the disability. Take his math skills.
Okay, so 31 by 31 by 31 by 31.
Yeah, is 923,521.
I dare say you're right. Or 17 times 17 times 17 times 17.
83,521.
And it's not just calculating. His gift of memory is stunning. Briefly show him a long numerical sequence, and he'll recite it right back to you.
914, 1934, 217, 1844, 322381.
Of course.
And he can do it backwards to boot.
183223448171.
That feat is just a warm-up for Daniel Tammet. He first made headlines at Oxford when he publicly recited the endless sequence of numbers embodied by the Greek letter pi. Pi, the numbers we use to calculate the dimensions of a circle. It's usually rounded off to 3.14, but its numbers actually go on to infinity. Daniel studied the sequence, 1,000 numbers to a page.
I would sit and I would gorge on them, and I would just absorb hundreds and hundreds at a time.
It took him several weeks to prepare, and then Daniel headed to Oxford, where, with number crunchers checking every digit,
1415.
he opened the floodgates of his extraordinary memory.
830-3046965022709545689545681.
And you were able to recite in the proper order. How many?
22,514. 4960.
It took him over 5 hours.
94726.
He did it without a single mistake.
399520614196. 3587. Finished. Yeah.
Scientists say a memory feat like this is truly extraordinary. Dr. V.S. Ramachandran and his team at the California Center for Brain Study tested Daniel extensively after his pi achievement.
Once you met him, what did you make of him?
I was surprised at how articulate and intelligent he was, and was able to interact socially and introspect on his own abilities.
And while that introspection is extremely rare among savants, Daniel's ability to describe how his mind works could be invaluable to scientists studying the brain, our least understood organ.
Even how you and I do, 17 minus 9 is a big mystery. You know, how are these little wisps of jelly in your brain doing that computation? We don't know that.
It may seem to defy logic, but Ramachandran believes that a savant's genius could actually result from brain injury.
One possibility is that many other parts of the brain are functioning abnormally or subnormally, and this allows the patient to allocate all his attentional resources to the one remaining part. And there's a lot of clinical evidence for this. Some patients have a stroke, and suddenly their artistic skills improve.
That theory fits well with Daniel. At the age of 4, he suffered a massive epileptic seizure. He believes that seizure contributed to his condition. Numbers were no longer simply numbers. He developed a rare crossing of the senses known as synesthesia.
I see numbers in my head as colours and shapes and textures, so when I see a long sequence, the sequence forms landscapes in my mind. Every number up to 10,000 I can visualize in this way, has its own colour, has its own shape, has its own texture.
For example, this is how Daniel says he sees pi. And when he does those instant computations, he's not calculating, but says the answer simply appears to him as a landscape of colorful shapes.
The shapes aren't static. They're full of colour, they're full of texture. In a sense, they're full of life.
Are they beautiful?
Not all of them. Some of them are ugly. 289 is an ugly number. I don't like it very much. Whereas 333, for example, is beautiful to me. It's round, it's
Chubby.
It's chubby.
He was constantly counting things. I think what first attracted him to books was the actual numbers on each page, and he just loved counting.
Do you think there is a connection between his epilepsy and his talent?
He was always different. From when he was really a few weeks old, I noticed he was different. So I'm not sure that it's entirely that, but I think it might have escalated it.
That it opened up that part of the brain?
Yes, that's what I believe, yes.
Daniel was also diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, a mild form of autism. It made for a painful childhood.
I would flap my hands sometimes when I was excited, or pull at my fingers and pull at my lips. And of course the children saw these things and would repeat them back to me and tease me about them. And I would put my fingers in my ears and count very quickly in powers of 2, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64.
Numbers were a defense from the real world, yes?
Yes, numbers were my friends and they never changed. So they were reliable. I could trust them.
And yet, Daniel did not retreat fully into that mysterious prison of autism, as many savants do. He believes his large family may have actually forced him to adapt.
Because my parents, having 9 children, had so much to do, so much to cope with, I realized I had to do for myself.
He now runs his own online educational business. He and his partner Neil try to keep a low profile, despite his growing fame. Yet the limits of his autism are always there.
I find it difficult to walk in the street sometimes if there are lots of people around me. If there's lots of noise, I put my fingers in my ears to block it out.
That anxiety keeps him close to home. He can't drive and rarely goes shopping, and finds the beach a difficult place because of his compulsion to count the grains of sand. And it manifests itself in other ways, like making a very precise measurement of his cereal each morning. It must be exactly 45 grams of porridge, no more, no less.
That's perfect.
Do you think that Daniel, in a certain way, represents a real pathway to further understanding the brain?
I think one could say that time and again in science, something looks like a curiosity initially often leads to a completely new direction of research. Sometimes they provide the golden key. Doesn't always happen. Sometimes it's just mumbo-jumbo. But that may well be true with savants.
Daniel continues to volunteer for scientists who want to understand his amazing brain. But he's reluctant to become what he calls a performing SEAL, and has refused most offers to cash in on his remarkable skills.
People all the time asking me to choose numbers for the lottery or to invent a time machine or to come up with some great discovery. But my abilities are not those that mean that I can do everything.
But he has written a book about his experiences entitled Born on a Blue Day.
That was totally inspiring.
He also does motivational speeches for parents of autistic children. Yet one more gift of his remarkable brain.
Thanks.
Thank you.
But at the end of the day, genius or not, that brain does work a little differently.
1 hour after we leave today and I will not remember what you look like, and I will find it difficult to recognize you if I see you again. I will remember your handkerchief, and I will remember you have 4 buttons on your sleeve, and I remember the type of tie you're wearing. It's the details that I remember.
And it's the details that make us all so different. One man may see numbers as a tedious necessity of modern life. Another sees them as the essence of life.
Pi is one of the most beautiful things in all of the world. And if I can share that joy in numbers, if I can share that in some small measure with the world through my writing and through my speaking, then I feel that I will have done something useful.